Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. And today I am talking once again, I did it the other day, but I'm talking again about Amazon because they are expanding the US surveillance state. Now, this is something I've talked about for years when it comes to Amazon with their Ring doorbell system, giving it to law enforcement, all that kind of stuff. But it's about to be supercharged. And I think this is very concerning. If you're a privacy advocate anywhere around the world, listen up, because quite frankly, this is going to be a very serious issue as we are moving towards the next generation of surveillance, at least here in the United States, but definitely around the world as well. And Amanda Silberling of TechCrunch had a really solid write-up on this mess. And let's just dive right in because you know Ring, right? They announced basically a partnership yesterday, this past Thursday, with Flock, a maker of essentially an AI-powered surveillance camera system that shares footage with law enforcement. So that means that agencies can use Flock to basically request Ring doorbell users sharing footage to help with things like, quote, evidence collection and investigative work, all that kind of stuff as well. And before we keep diving in here, I just once again have to say in my preamble is cybersecurity is agnostic to politics, but we're not immune from it. I do not care what your politics are, who you voted for, et cetera, et cetera. Privacy is a human right. We should all be taking this seriously, regardless of who is president or who is in power, right? So with that, let's go back to Flock because their cameras work by essentially scanning the license plates and other identifiable information about cars that they see. So Flock's government and police customers can then make natural language searches of video footage to find people who match specific descriptions. However, basically, this AI-powered technology used by law enforcement has also been proven to basically have some negatives. It can exacerbate racial biases, all that kind of stuff. I've done videos and podcasts and radio segments on the biases that AI has based on race and a whole bunch of other factors as well. And so AI is not perfect. And as much as we use it, that is of concern, especially when we're talking about expanding a surveillance state. So on the same day that Ring announced this partnership, 404 Media reported that ICE, that's the Immigration Customs Enforcement here in the United States, as well as the Secret Service, they do outside of protecting the president, they are also on the currency and counterfeit currency side of law enforcement, and the US Navy had access to Flock's network of cameras. And so by partnering with Ring, Flock could potentially access the footage from millions more cameras around the entire United States. In other words, that Ring doorbell just basically became a surveillance apparatus potentially for ICE and the Navy and the Secret Service and federal government services as well. And Ring has a very terrible track record with keeping this stuff safe and secure. I have been talking about Ring since before they were owned by Amazon, when the Intercept basically broke that they weren't encrypting anything, that people from thousands of miles away in places like Romania, their workers had access unredacted. There was an executive that was caught basically like going into, I think it was like his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife's Ring doorbell and seeing who was going and coming from her house. They kept it intentionally unencrypted so it would be easier to sell. I mean, this is absolutely a complete insanity here. And in 2023, the FTC ordered Ring to pay $5.8 million, aka Amazon, over claims that employees and contractors did have unrestricted access to customers' videos for years. This is nothing new. And so by virtue of that, Ring has been giving basically free Ring doorbells to law enforcement. Law enforcement's giving them away as raffles, all this kind of stuff. Now we're stepping up the game from like your local neighborhood cops to the feds, meaning you are helping to increase, by having a Ring doorbell, the surveillance state across the United States. And again, that's agnostic to politics. I don't care who's in charge of the government. This should be an anathema to pretty much everybody, especially if you believe in the US Constitution with a right to privacy, basically a right against self-incrimination, and a whole bunch of other rights that are enshrined in the Constitution. So I don't like to see governments of any stripe anywhere on the planet get access to these kinds of things. And when you're talking about 350 million-ish, people sitting in the country, That's of deep, deep concern because there are millions and millions of Ring doorbells out there. And if you think, oh, they're not doing this, they're not data aggregating, you can every Halloween see what Ring basically says. Oh, there were 300,000 doorbell pushes in Chicago, 500,000 in LA, 500,000 in, New York, whatever it was. They track this stuff. They know this stuff. And quite frankly, they're now basically tying it into the surveillance state. That is of deep, deep concern. And I think that if you're watching this or you're listening to this in some way, shape, or form, you should be concerned as well. And again, I don't care who you voted for. You should want privacy. You should want your neighbors to have privacy because, quite frankly, it's a fundamental right. And if we lose it, it's super hard to get it back. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, please, please attempt to stay private, informed, and secure. Take care.